Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming to the 13th Annual Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame inductions. I can't believe it's been 13 years since we started this event for the wonderful citizens of our town. My name is Michael Kottner, and I'm the chairman of the organization. I have approximately 15 people that work with me all throughout the year, and we'll introduce those folks later in the evening. On behalf of our committee, I'd like to welcome you to this event. It is not an event that's put together over 1, 2, 3 months. It's an event that's put together almost throughout the entire year. From this event, as well as our annual golf tournament, we're able to provide scholarships to high school students. And I was actually doing the math this year. Since we started the event, we've given out $20,000 in high school scholarships. Not bad from an event that was totally from the grassroots, from nothing to a 501c, to an organization that was in Bill Chaves' head in 1995 and approached many of us on our committee to this day. So it's quite an accomplishment to see many of the Hall of Famers come back here year after year, so I applaud them as my hero. I'd like to introduce tonight's MC. His name is Tim Jensen. This is his 6th consecutive year as our Master of Ceremonies. He was the editor-in-chief of the Enfield Press for more than 3 years, and for 4 years he's hosted a weekly internet radio show called Legends, which featuring music and interviews of members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's the owner of Legends Entertainment Group, a mobile disc jockey service. He's the head coach of the Enfield High ice hockey team during the spring and fall, and is the public address announcer for both Enfield and Fermi ice hockey teams during the winter. He's been a member of our board of directors since 1999 and currently serves as our co-chairman. He's also a very strong and instrumental member of our golf committee. I'd like to introduce Tim Jensen this time.
Thank you very much, Mike. Good evening, everybody. I guess we're going to have to do this the right way this time again, like every year. This is a big night for all of the inductees and their family and friends that have joined us. There's almost 250 people in the room. It's a huge night for them, and we need to show them how enthusiastic and proud we are of them. So we're going to start all over again. Good evening, everybody. You guys are the best, I got to tell you. You are terrific. Thank you for that introduction, Mike. I appreciate that. And as Mike said, welcome to our 13th induction. I can't believe it's been 13 years already. I've been involved this is my 10th actually, and it just gets bigger and better every year. And to see so many familiar faces come back as well as the new faces, it's really a big thrill. Oh boy, I did the program. I think it's the next to last page of the program. You'll see a list of all of the sponsors and donors to the Hall of Fame. And we on the board ask that you do patronize our sponsors and donors, since they're very instrumental in the success we've had year after year in the growth of this Hall of Fame, which Mike said started literally from nothing, and now we're quite flourishing, and we thank all the sponsors, donors, and all of you for that. One of the major sponsors of the Hall of Fame is actually the town of Enfield. In fact, when Bill Chaves first came up with the idea of the Hall of Fame in 1995, he approached the town council to get permission to use the town seal, which was granted, and we are very thankful to the town of Enfield for allowing us to do that and for all the support that they've given us over the years. At this time, I would like to introduce one of my high school classmates. Actually, Mr. Kottner was one of my Fermi 83 classmates, and so was the next gentleman I'm going to introduce. Not only were we classmates, he was our class president in 1983, went on to bigger and better things, and now currently, I'm proud to say, is the mayor of Enfield. Please welcome Mr. Scott Copen.
Geez, I don't know if it's bigger and better things, Tim. But both Tim and Mike, we were graduates, and this year we're celebrating our 25th high school reunion. How time flies, huh? I'm joined up here at the podium with Councilman Bill Ragno and Councilman Cindy Mangini, and on behalf of the town of Enfield, to Mike and to Tim and to all of the folks involved with the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame. On behalf of the town, we just want to thank you. It's been 13 years, and every year I'm amazed that what the work that this committee puts forward. I enjoy coming to the dinner and hearing about the athletic accomplishments of the folks that the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame honor every year. And for a town the size of Enfield, and we know we have a rich athletic history in town, to read about the accomplishments, the successes of not only the inductees, but also to hear about the team recognition and also the George Daly recipients. There are people that impacted our community in a very positive way, and it is right to recognize their accomplishments. So on behalf of the town, we have a proclamation honoring the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2008, and the proclamation states as follows. Whereas the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame was established in 1996 to recognize past and present individuals who have made a significant athletic contribution to the town of Enfield. And whereas the class of 2008 inductees to the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame consists of Susan Boucher, Marcel Dumas, John Hayden, Patricia Hubbard, Joseph Nucio, and John O'Brien. And whereas the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame Committee will also honor Larry Tracy with the George Daly Jr. Special Recognition Award, and whereas the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame Committee will also honor the 1953 Thompsonville Little League State and Tobacco Valley League champion Grays Athletic Association. And whereas inductees and award recipients will be honored at the induction ceremony to be held on September 20th, 2008 at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Enfield, Connecticut. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Scott Copen, Mayor of the Town of Enfield, on behalf of the Enfield Town Council, Town Administration, and citizens of our community, do hereby congratulate the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2008 inductees, the George Daly Jr. Special Recognition Award recipient Larry Tracy, and the 1953 Thompsonville Little League State and Tobacco Valley League champion Grays Athletic Association. Be it further resolved, got a good crowd here. Be it further resolved that I hereby declare September 20th, 2008 to be the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame Day in the town of Enfield. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, how's the volume? Are we okay out there? I know I have a little bit of a scratchy voice tonight. Food for thought, bit of advice. If you're going to be emceeing a dinner with 250 people, don't coach a high school hockey game 2 hours before and scream at all those kids. Okay? So you have to bear with me tonight. We've had, how did we do? Scott, how did we do? We lost 6-5 to the best team in the league, and it went down literally to the last few minutes of the game. So thank you for asking, Brian. Thank you also for being the only one to applaud when we said class of '83. But, you know, high school hockey, I mean, I'm lucky because I got to experience sports in many ways in this town growing up, watching my brothers, who were great athletes in their own right, first of all. And I do need to correct something for those of you that were here 2 years ago. I had mentioned my oldest brother, Dave, who was quite a great two-sport athlete, was the only athlete, I believe, in history ever thrown out of both the Fermi Enfield football and hockey games in the same year. And after that aired on television, I got a call, and he said that he was very hurt by that because, while it's true he was thrown out of the Fermi Enfield hockey game, he never, ever was thrown out of the Fermi Enfield football game. And I ruined his reputation, so I'm going to have to publicly apologize to my brother Dave and apologize for saying that he was ever thrown out of the Fermi Enfield football game. It was the homecoming game that he was thrown out of. That was it. Anyway. But like I said, it's been great to see the great athletes of the past, and, you know, in my tenure here. I moved here when I was 5 years old. And to see that there's still great things going on today athletically in the town of Enfield. A couple of things that come to my mind right off the top of my head were in the spring, Enfield High School, the boys volleyball team finished state runner-up for the second consecutive year, which was a great accomplishment. And for the first time ever in town history, all 4 soccer teams, the boys and girls teams of both Fermi and Enfield, qualified for the state tournament last year. That, I believe, is the first time in history, and it's just a testament to the great things that are going on athletically even today here in this town. Some of our own Hall of Famers themselves that are here in this room are still out there doing it, and I wanted to mention a few of them, and would like them to come up here in front of me when I talk about their accomplishments. First of all, I'm just going to throw some names out there, not in any order, but Chris Corkum. Mr. Corkum just set a record in the June of this past summer. He became the very first player in the history of the Western Massachusetts Tri-County League to achieve 1,000 career hits. First person ever in the 51-year history of that league, which was a great accomplishment. Of course, you got to remember he's been playing in that league for 72 years, but no, it's a great accomplishment. Chris, would you come up, please? Come up in front. Where is he? I really do need you to come up in front, if you could, please. And I know you don't like that, but that's too bad. I'm going to tell you about Bob Lynn. Bob Lynn was inducted 4 years ago into this Hall of Fame. He's the first golfer that we ever inducted. Bob just recently won the Allied tournament up in the Berkshires, up in the Pittsfield area, Massachusetts, beating 100 and, I forgot, what is this, 100 and some odd golfers in that tournament. Not just open to seniors, though, open to everybody. And then just last week, he tied for 14th in the Massachusetts Mid-Amateur, a state championship in Massachusetts, open to anyone 25 years and older. He finished tied for 14th out of over 120 people that started that tournament, and there was more than 1,000 that tried to qualify to get in it. So at age 54, he's out there bombing with the young guns. Bob, come on up here, please. I can't let a single induction go by without using a certain word to describe the most wonderful individual you'll ever want to meet. I'd like to call upon the legendary Cookie Brummage to please come up here, please. For those of you who don't know or who have lived under a rock for the last 4 decades, Cookie, a few weeks ago, started season number 41 as field hockey coach at Enfield High School. Ford. And if you think that's good, is Dick Vining, would you please come forward? Dick Vining just informed me in the hallway that he's about to start his final season, there he is, final season coaching baseball at CW Post University. This season, his last season coming up, will mark his coaching career in college baseball, 55 years. While they're up here, I would also like to ask, we are very fortunate that we have 23 of our previous inductees here, and when I would like for them to come up, please, and get right in front of me. I would like to introduce Joe Golis, Russell Tyler, Bill Teed, Fran Slattery, Charlie Ragno, Matt Pliska, Kate Mullen, Mike Malfa, Dave LaRussa, our 1999 George Daly Award winner Eddie Lapidese, Bob Keller, our brother and sister combination Marion and Joe Deppel, Susan Mersick Davis, the big guy, Big D, Paul Da Silva, Howie Brummage, and his cousin, Cookie's husband, Bob Brummage, Leo Arnone, and Mike Angelica. 23 previous inductees have joined us here this evening.
Bob, too much.
Yeah. They blazed the trail for tonight's inductees, and I'd like y'all to give them one more great big round of applause. Y'all can come up in front of me. Anybody taking a picture? Okay. If you turn to page 17 in your program, which I know is a little tough because I didn't number the pages, but it's the third page from the back, you'll see that since we've last gathered at this dinner last year, we've lost 3 members of our Hall of Fame family. I ask at this time that you all join hands together and join me in observing a moment of silence in memory of Ray Lagenza, Al Davis Jr., and Tony Romano. Thank you. Speaking of memory, when this Hall of Fame started in 1995, there was a small but very dedicated committee that really worked hard to get this Hall of Fame established. And one of those original members was George Daly. George was instrumental in researching many of the biographies of the candidates for the Hall of Fame. Sadly, in 1996, George passed away suddenly just 3 days before our very first induction ceremony. In 1997, the Hall of Fame established the George Daly Special Recognition Award in George's memory. Please join me in welcoming the presenter of the George Daly Award this evening, George's widow, Mrs. Elena Daly.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I want to congratulate the Athletic Hall of Fame Committee for the amazing job they do in putting together this special night year after year. My family and I want to extend our deepest gratitude to the committee for establishing the annual Special Recognition Award in memory of George. His enthusiasm for sports was irresistible. He was very proud to be a member of the Hall of Fame Committee. He was committed, dedicated, and enjoyed doing the research for potential nominees. I want to take this opportunity to extend my sincere congratulations to all of the inductees here tonight. I am highly honored to be able to present the George Daly Special Recognition Award tonight. Thank you.
I mentioned that I grew up as an athlete in Enfield, which nobody will believe looking at me now, but it's true. Grew up on Douglas Drive, which is right in the center of the box that's formed by Elm Street and Enfield Street, Brainerd Road and Washington Road. It's right in the center. A lot of people call it the St. James area. And our yard was because we were on a corner lot at the corner of Ridge, we had a baseball field on the side yard. We had a really big side yard. And we literally had the baseball field. In fact, the pitcher's rubber and home plate were courtesy of Prudence Crandall School. I guess I shouldn't have said that. Leo Arnone's here, right? Detective Arnone. There's no statute of limitations on petty larceny by a 9-year-old, right? Good. Thank you. We did. We had the diamond on the side yard, and all the kids in the neighborhood used to come over and play. It was a great place to grow up. 2 doors down from where I lived at 17, and 2 doors down at 21, lived another athletic family. Larry Tracy, his wife Michelle, and their 3 daughters. And I believe their 3 daughters were all cheerleaders, correct? Yeah, they were all cheerleaders, so they were always involved in athletics. And I know that his oldest daughter was a cheerleader with my youngest sister, so they were always involved. But growing up all those years from 1970, when I was just a little guy on, I don't remember seeing Larry around too much in the neighborhood, because when he wasn't busy tending to his insurance business, he was active in athletics, mainly in officiating. Larry was a football referee for more than 3 decades, officiating by, I believe his own count, more than 1,000 games, ranging from the midget leagues, right, with the Ramblers, the Stars, the Lancers, and the Americans. I remembered all four. Remember we used to have 4 teams in this town? What do you have? Just the Ramblers now, right? But all the way up through the high school levels and even into the college ranks, more than 1,000 games. In fact, he at one time was the president of the Central Connecticut Association of Football Officials. He did such a great job with them that earlier this year, he was inducted into that organization's Hall of Fame. Last year, he received an honor from the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame, Northern Connecticut chapter. But even more than that, Larry's legacy will be remembered in this town as one of the main founders of the Enfield Rotary Basketball Classic, started in 1994, which to date has raised more than $20,000 for the girls' basketball programs at both Fermi and Enfield High School. Gives me great pleasure. He's still active as an electronic clock operator in the Big East Conference, does all the UConn games down at Rentschler Field. As a businessman, he sponsored numerous teams. This man did so much for athletes in this town and in this region. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the 2008 recipient of the George Daly Special Recognition Award, Mr. Larry Tracy.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here tonight. Not for me, but for the other recipients who are so noted in your program and the achievements that they have brought to this community. It's very humbling to be honored for something that you really enjoy doing. It started out as a hobby for me. As Tim said, I had 3 daughters, and when I told my wife I was going to become a football official, she wanted to know, what am I going to do with the girls? And I said, well, they can't play football, so they can stay home with you. She said, I don't think so. So they became cheerleaders, and to this day, they're all active in sports of some sort. But it's, as I said, it's very humbling to be given an honor and an award for something that you really enjoy doing. Working with the young kids when I was much younger myself and helping them out and working with coaches like Joe Nucio, one of the honorees tonight. Joe was actually one of 3 coaches in my high school career that I looked up most to. He and Larry McHugh, that used to be the coach down at Xavier High School, and Joe Grace over at Simsbury. Most of the coaches, including more so these 3 men, were the class of the group. I had the good fortune of going collegiately, and one of the highlights of my officiating career is having the ability to work with my brother, who just came off the field after 30 years. So we worked a couple of state championship games together. It's an honor to do something with your brother. So on behalf of me and my family, I thank you very, very much for bestowing this honor upon me, and I thank the Hall of Fame.
Is Bill Teed here? Raise your hand. That is how you give a speech properly, Bill. We timed Bill's speech with a sundial back in 2000, believe me. Little League was a great experience for most of us that played ball in this town. But a lot of people don't know that Little League didn't even start in Enfield until the Thompsonville Little League in 1950. A lot of the guys that were in that initial group went on to become original members of what was called a Little League Alumni League. It wasn't quite senior league. They didn't have senior league then, but they were too old for Little League. So the gentleman started a Little League Alumni League. And the 1953 Thompsonville Grays team not only played good ball and won the Tobacco Valley in District 3, they went on to win the Connecticut State Championship. There are 13 living members of that team, and 10 of them have joined us tonight to be honored. And they are, I believe, the enthusiastic bunch. Where's our mayor, Mr. Copen? I've never heard anybody cheering during the proclamation in 13 years, I'll tell you that. So that had to be a first. But instead of me telling you about it, I'm going to ask that the team spokesman please come up, one of the members of that team, Mr. Bob Gregorski.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for me to be up here tonight representing our Hall of Fame championship team. On behalf of our team, I thank the Hall of Fame committee for this wonderful honor and this celebration tonight. In 1953, our team was the first in the history of Thompsonville to win a state junior baseball title. A team from a population of 9,600 people. We beat the best in the Tobacco Valley League. Our record was 13-3, and that gave us the honor to go on and play for the state championship. There were 8 leagues in the state of Connecticut. We beat the best of the best in the state of Connecticut. State teams that included many players from larger cities and towns such as Bridgeport, West Hartford, and Stratford. But I'd like to put things in perspective to you. Our team's accomplishments really, if you look back at it, as Tim mentioned, 1950 was the first time Thompsonville had a Little League conference. Most of us played 1950 and 51. That was the first time we played organized baseball. We were 11 and 12 years old. A couple of our players they started at age 10, played in 52. So the Alumni League was 13 and 14. So we had to learn fast and hard, and we played hard. In recent times, I know, kids start playing organized baseball at age 6. By the time they're 13, they have a tremendous amount of experience and the benefit of many coaches. I know my grandson Ryan is playing baseball this fall at age 8. So where does it end? On behalf of our team, I'd like to thank the Grays Athletic Association for its sponsorship in providing the coaches and managers who are members of the association. The association was supported in many ways. When we won the Tobacco Valley League championships, we were given jackets right away, and we had a nice emblem on the front of the jacket. After the championship game in Manchester, the mayor is here, so he might hear this for future reference, we had a caravan, and at that game, by the way, there were about 1,000 people in Manchester at Charter Oak Field, 1953. Our caravan of cars and trucks left Manchester. 2 police cruisers met us at the Thompsonville line. With sirens going, we drove through Thompsonville, escorted, waving flags out of the windows, yelling and screaming. Everyone in Thompsonville knew we won the state championship that night. And it didn't end there. We ended up that evening at the Silhouette Club in North Thompsonville for a victory dinner. In addition to that, a short time later, the Grays provided us with a championship banquet. And then we found that we were going to have a second emblem put in the back of our jackets. We'll show that to you later, but that was on the back of the jacket. And then we were treated to a bus trip to Fenway Park to see the Red Sox play. So that was a lot for us. When I look back at what the Grays did for us, I think in terms of reward and accomplishments, I look back at 2 things. One, they provided us with an excellent coach and manager. George LaGrange was our coach, and John Rosato was our manager, was devoted to hours of teaching and guiding us. They fine-tuned and enhanced our skills that we had developed in Little League. Of course, we only had a couple of years' experience. They helped us be the best that we could be. No doubt in my mind, they were instrumental in us winning the championship. And their support staff of Joe Krish, Dick Copeland and Evan Evans, filled out a variety of roles that you needed to have to field a championship team as such. I'll give you some brief highlights of 1953 of the state tournament. Our opening game was against Stratford, much bigger town. They were heavily favored. The pitcher we faced was 14-0, undefeated for the season. The game ended at 7 innings. Well, in regulation time was a tie score 3-3. Our tenacity, we came back in the top of the 8th with 4 runs. We held them off in the bottom of the 8th with excellent pitching and fielding. So we won that game. The second game against Farmington was probably the toughest. At the end of 7 innings, we were scoreless tie. We came to bat in the top of the 8th. Our first 2 players did not get aboard. With 2 outs, our next 3 players rallied for 1 run. Again, we held back that team from scoring in the bottom of the 8th inning. We won 1-0. Now, coming into the championship game, we know we had beaten 2 of the best teams that had beaten other teams, and so did West Hartford. So this was a challenge. So we were up for that. Going into the bottom of the 6th inning, we were losing 4-2. Guts and glory, they say. We scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 6th. Again, with our tenacity and excellent skills of pitching and fielding, we held them scoreless in the top of the 7th. What we did at that particular time, we ended the season at 16-3. We proved that we were the best Little League alumni team in the state of Connecticut. Now, I just wish to take a moment to acknowledge our Grace Team Hall of Fame committee, Howie Brummage, Mike Nozel, Matt Costello, and me. Trying to locate people that you played with 55 years ago was a task. But we did contact those, and again, we have 10 members here tonight. Before I introduce the players and they come up for their awards, I'd like to read the names of those that are not here tonight. Phil Bellico, George Brayman, Fred Jakowski, Tom Kustovich, Rudy Gove, Tony Scalia, and our bat boy, Jack Marinaccio. Now, gentlemen, as I introduce to you, would you come up, please, and receive your award and stand up in front? I'm going to do this in alphabetical order. Willie Burke. Howie Brummage. Bob Grabowski. George Littlejohn. Mike Nozel. Matt Purcello. Matt Purcello. Tim Provencher. Jim Rinaldi. Thank you. Carl Rosado. Lou Secundo. Thank you for your attention.
Don't shake my hand, come on.
Let me get out of the way here. You don't want me in this. Guy's in the front.
Again, I gotta shake your hand?
Timmy.
Again, no. Guys, come on up here. Oh, sure. Timmy. Come over here. They want to see over here.
All right, hold that trophy up in the middle. That's going in the cake. Mike, get right in the middle.
Keep going, Timmy. Keep going.
Right here. You're good. Keep going one more. Get in there. Kneel down. Timmy, you're too tall. Turn around. Turn around so they can see your smile first. Remember that cavalcade coming back in the I do. I remember that. I remember that.
Gentlemen, when you're done, do not leave. Exit to the right. We have another special award for you. Not yet, Howie, not yet. Turn down. Just go to the right.
Another award. Don't leave yet. Turn around.
You ready?
I thought they were done. I thought they were done. Go right over there to the right, guys, and we have all the guys can go over that direction. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the three words you've all been waiting for, dinner is served.
pleasure to be here. I apologize, my husband and I were a little late, but in the essence of this evening, we were actually at our daughter's soccer game, so I hope you can all appreciate that. And I am pleased to be here to present official citations from the General Assembly to each of our award winners tonight. But I suggested to Mike Cotner, and then his wife, Julie, kindly helped me out and suggested to him as well, that we don't call everyone up individually. I would like to just congratulate everyone, and I will leave it with your award. It's been incredibly heartwarming already to see all the recipients here tonight, and I know the best is also yet to come. And so I just wanted to say congratulations and best wishes, and thank you very much.
I apologize once again for my voice. As I said, I was coaching Enfield High School earlier today, and a little bit of yelling at the kids. See, I was trying to emulate a Hall of Fame hockey coach from Enfield High School, who I didn't realize is here tonight, and I would like to acknowledge him since he is here. 2002 Hall of Famer, Coach Phil Clarkin. Just like you, Phil, those guys hear me all the way up into the stands. So, thank you for setting the example for me. Appreciate that. Well, the time has arrived, ladies and gentlemen, for the members of the Hall of Fame class of 2008. 6 more inductees will be entering the Hall of Fame this evening. And we're going to start out with something we don't have a whole lot of. You know, Enfield High School's been around since time began, but it was only in, I believe, 1970 that they started that other school across town that I went to, and Mike went to, and our mayor went to, Fermi. Who here is from Fermi? Any Fermi graduates here besides us? All right. Now, Scott, I know being a politician, you're used to being booed, but I didn't realize they were going to be that harsh. My God. I also want to, speaking of Scott and Mike and me, I want to thank Larry Tracy for not making the introductory comment he was going to make when Scott and Mike and I were standing here. He was going to comment, we're 25 years out of high school, and collectively the three of us don't have as much hair as he does at 63. Thank you for not mentioning that. We appreciate that, Larry. Fermi High School. A lot of great things have happened at Fermi High School, including at one time they had a very good football team. Actually, a number of times over the years they've had some good football teams. In the 1970s, which we'll hear about in a little while with Coach Nucio, and also in the late 1980s when one of their star players was Marcel Dumas. Marcel set the school receiving record as a junior with 60 pass receptions, making the All-CCC East team, and then topped that by captaining the '89 team that won 8 games and lost only 2, the best record in Fermi football history. He then went on to Southern Connecticut State University, twice making the Division II All-New England team as a defensive back in the early 1990s. Being presented tonight by our 1999 George Daly Award winner, Eddie Lapinese, please welcome Marcel Dumas.
I didn't want to leave my seat over there. I was so comfortable over there and a little nervous. So, thank you, Eddie. Eddie's grandson, Cameron, plays with my son on the Ramblers' 6- and 7-year-old team. He's a heck of a little ball player, Cameron. First of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for electing me. I kind of relate it to winning the lottery. I don't know if I deserve it, but I'm not giving it back either. I'd like to thank my beautiful wife, Melissa, my 3 beautiful children, Samantha, Mason, and Natalie, if it wasn't for you, no award or honor would be worth winning. I'd like to thank my parents, Al and Joan, for all their love and support throughout the years. My brothers, Alex, Dean, and Joseph, for always being there for me. My friends, growing up in the Green Manorville section of town. There's no shortage of pickup games, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever. Good times over there. All the coaches in my life, starting off with the late Chipper Riley, my first coach I ever had with the Enfield Stars. Thank you, Chipper, for teaching me the basics and never always being willing to talk about the old times when I saw him. John Mayo, my head football coach at Fermi High School, probably the most influential coach in my life, really got me on the right path and taught me some lifelong lessons. Bill Curry, also an assistant at Fermi, great coach. Pat Riley, coach, now he's on the town council, great friend of mine. He's always been there for me. Thank you, Pat. My coaches at Southern, entire staff, head coach Rich Cavanaugh, thank you for believing in me and making my years there memorable. Last thing I'd like to say is, when I got done playing competitive football over in Europe, I came back and started playing flag football in Enfield. And I played for many years. They just stopped about a year or 2 ago. And I'd come home on Sundays sore and be complaining. My wife would say to me, "You got to find a new hobby." And I'd say, "Why?" And she'd say, "Well, you can't play football forever." So I like golf, but I can't hit the ball straight. And I'm not smart enough for crossword puzzles or anything like that. So I kept playing. And the only thing that made me stop playing was my children. And the only thing that can rival anything I've ever done on the athletic field was watching them do the same. So I'd like to thank them and thank all of you. Appreciate it.
Next up, going to go slightly out of order, so I got to get my notes back together here. Our next inductee is John Hayden. John was an outstanding football and track performer at Enfield High School, captain of both teams, all league with both teams. Also played basketball. Then went to Southern Connecticut State. Southern Connecticut, that's 2 in a row, isn't it? Wow, good for the school from down south. All right. Set some rushing records down at Southern, and even received the Player of the Week award from the Yale Athletic Association. He had some times where he had some opportunities to play some pro ball, including in the NFL, the World Football League. Does anybody remember the World Football League? What was that, from 74 to about 76, I think? Something like that? It didn't last too long, but that's okay. And even had a go-around with Montreal in the Canadian Football League. He gets the award tonight for coming the farthest distance, flying in from the other coast, about 3,000 miles, because he currently resides in California, where he works as an actor. Being presented by one of our charter members of the Hall of Fame, 1996 Hall of Famer Russ Tyler. Please welcome Mr. John Hayden.
Yeah, I will do that. So John, we'll just put that thing out here without John, I'll grab this for you. Thank you. Yep.
I'd like to thank the selection committee and also all the sponsors for this wonderful event tonight. I'd like to congratulate all of the Hall of Fame inductees, past and present. And I'd like to thank my family for being here, my family and friends, especially my mother, our brothers Jeff, Jim, my sister Carol, for their support and encouragement and constant urging to submit myself. My family, immediate family, is still in California. My wife Bernice is working as a kindergarten teacher, and our son Travis is working in San Diego, and our daughter Jennifer is a senior at Fresno State. But without their love and support, my life's journey would not be the same that we've shared together. I'd like to dedicate tonight, my personal moment tonight, this award, this honor to my father and my brother Larry, who's no longer with us. But I feel their presence and their pride. In writing my biography for submission, I was given a chance to reflect on my life, a life that started in Northampton, Mass. And has taken me to Agoura Hills, California. And I have nothing but great memories of my time here in Enfield. This is where my foundation was developed, a foundation that was nurtured by not only by my family, but friends and a caring community. A community with small-town values, a community that gives us youth a chance to grow in a safe and family-oriented town. At Enfield High, I was given many opportunities, athletically, academically, socially. I tried to take advantage of each one. And because of that, that's where a foundation for the future and part of my life's philosophy was developed. So therefore, I'd like to thank more than my family and friends, but the coaches, the teammates, the teachers, and the classmates who were there to support me and encourage me during those years. And speaking of Enfield High, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the name of a classmate, a teammate, a co-captain, and a friend, Paul Plath. Paul never made it to graduation. He was murdered May 11th, our senior year. And he never got to realize his dreams. And I know that you cannot live someone else's life. But because of Paul's untimely death, I learned at a very early age just how fragile life can be. And you must take advantage of every minute of every day. And that's how I've tried to live my life. By believing in my dreams, believing in my abilities, working hard to achieve them and follow that dream no matter where it goes. See, each and every one of us is given a gift and a talent. And you must develop those gifts and talents, especially the ones that are attached to your dreams. That's why you were given them. That is your life's journey. And again, I must thank the selection committee for taking a look at my life's journey so far and thinking that it is important enough to be included as a part of the history of Enfield. Thank you.
One other thing, John, I'm glad that you've gotten a lot better looking than you did when you did Star Trek, from what we saw out there, thank God. And for Marcel, I failed to mention, you said you don't hit the ball very straight. Well, May 2nd, there'll be about 140 of us out there not hitting the ball very straight, so please join us for our annual golf tournament. You'll be more than welcome to join in with all the all over the place. All right. In 1983, I knew exactly zero about field hockey. Nothing. I don't know a whole hell of a lot more now than I did then, but I have had the privilege when I was with the press to cover a lot of games at Enfield High School in Fermi, but a lot of games particularly at Enfield High School, coached by legendary Cookie Brummage. See, now when I say legendary Cookie Brummage, you're supposed to applaud wildly, you see, because, you know, she's like an icon. There you go. All right. She has been the leader of 5 state championship teams, the first one being the 1983 team. And one of her players that was a standout back in the 1980s is our next inductee, Patty Golden, or Patty Golden Hubbard, to use her full name now. After making All-State twice at Enfield High School, she went on to play 4 years of varsity field hockey at Division I Providence College, being a part of 2 Big East championship teams. She now competes in marathon running, which is way beyond my comprehension, and I used to be a runner in the old days. It's not a fable, it really is true. So, marathon running, which she does now. Patty Golden is living on the West Coast, and I believe about 2 months ago became a brand new mama, so she was not able to join us tonight. I would like to call upon our legendary coach, Cookie Brummage, and to escort Patty's mom, Beverly Golden, to accept her award. Grandchild? Second, okay. As I said, Patty was unable to make that cross-country trip with a newborn infant. However, she did, if we may direct your attention to the screen, send along a DVD with a few thoughts of her own.
Hello everyone, my name is Patty Golden Hubbard. Thank you for honoring me tonight. Sorry I could not be there. My husband and I just had a baby boy about 8 weeks ago, and it was a little early to make the trip, so regrettably I could not be there. I wish I could be. First of all, I wanted to thank the committee for honoring me. Sports have always been a big part of my life, and it's so great to be honored for something that I'm so passionate, and it has always been a big part of my life, so thank you. The real honorees have to be my mom and my dad, who are there tonight. Hi, Mom and Dad. From the time I was 6, they carted me around to countless practices and tournaments and games, sat through all kinds of weather. And when I was in college at Providence College, they drove to Ohio and Michigan and Virginia, and I have to say what they taught me as far as their commitment to their children and supporting them through any activity I want to do is something that I certainly will pass along to my kids as they get older. The second person I wanted to thank is Cookie Brummage, who I think we all know is someone who is so special, very special to all of us. And I think in today's world and how difficult it is to be 16 years old, Cookie was always someone that instilled such confidence and self-esteem in all of the girls that she taught and coached over the years. So I'm so grateful to her and everything that she taught me playing field hockey and basketball with her. Last but not least, I wanted to thank my sister Karen, who through our countless backyard battles taught me a lot about competition, and she certainly is a great athlete in her own right. So thanks again for the honor. Wish I could be there. And I wanted to do a special call out to Mr. Nozel, who I also know is being honored tonight. And Mr. Nozel, I'll definitely share a bud with you at Christmas time. Thanks again and have a great time tonight. Bye.
Next up, Susan Herder Boucher. Thank you. Another field hockey standout, but from a time where field hockey didn't quite have the exposure and the notoriety that it does now. Scored 66 goals at Enfield High School in field hockey, plus was a pitcher for the 1975 Enfield High School League champions, and the league was the CCIL. You remember that league? It's been gone for over 20 years, but it was a great league. All the schools, there was about 700 schools in that league. They were all right near us except for Wyndham, which was about an hour and a half away. But it's true. When she was only 15, Sue's pitching ability was such that she went to go play for the prestigious Westfield Whips in semi-pro softball at age 15, and I know she doesn't want me to say this, but she had the privilege of pitching against a member of the Softball Hall of Fame, Joan Joyce. So, probably one of the most famous softball players of all time. She then went on to Central Connecticut State College and continued to excel in field hockey, scoring more than 80 goals in her career. She's currently the chair of the science department at Enfield High School. Being presented by 2002 Hall of Fame inductee Marion Dipple, please welcome Sue Herder Boucher.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I want to thank Marion for the nomination. She's been a role model of mine for many years in sports, and so this has just been a nice honor to have her present the award to me. I'd also like to thank the selection committee. This is a wonderful tribute, and I'm very honored. Growing up, sports has been a big part of my life. I love playing. I love being out on the field. I love being on the court. It was just something that was a passion, and I just enjoyed playing. I love the challenge of the sport, and I always pushed myself in each game to try to do even better. Sports has also taught me some valuable lessons in sportsmanship, perseverance, teamwork, courage, and hard work, all of which I've carried on with me throughout my life. Now that I'm a parent and a teacher, I've tried to pass these same lessons on to my daughter and to my students at school. I would like to thank a few people for their guidance and inspiration throughout my journey in sports. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my parents, who've always encouraged and supported all of their children in each of the sports that they played. They've always instilled in us an importance of maintaining dignity when involved in any sport. He's always told us to show people who you were through your level of play, and to always treat your opponents, coach, and refs with respect, and they would in turn do the same for you. I'd like to thank my father, who's always been there to drive us to any practice, be it at 2 in the morning for a hockey game at Avon Old Farms and the open rinks when they used to have that, or to drive me up to Westfield when I was 15 and stay for a 2-hour practice, or bring my youngest brother all along the Eastern Seaboard when he was playing baseball or football. I would also like to thank my mother, who saw a need for organized sports, and I think that was a little plan through Mr. Slattery, who encouraged my mother to bring me down to the baseball tryouts, and she met up with Angela Lamagna, and through a very spirited conversation, when she came home, my father asked her, "So how did it go?" And she said, "I'm now running the girls' softball league in Enfield." And my mother did that with her right-hand man, Mrs. Hill, and other dedicated women who produced some very talented athletes who went on to play in high school and college, and many of whom are in the Hall of Fame today. So I thank both of them very much. I would also like to thank my coaches, Kathy Gendel and, of course, Cookie Brummage. Both of them were brilliant coaches and exemplary people, and who have inspired me and helped me see my dream and to go on into college sports. And I also like to thank my college coaches, Sandra McNair and Ron Pringle, who continue to fine-tune my game. Today, I have the privilege and the honor to watch my daughter play sports, competitive sports, and I hope that at some point I can inspire her just as much as the people who I've mentioned have inspired me through my journey. I'd like to thank my family and friends for coming out and sharing this evening tonight, and thank you very much for this tribute.
Couple of notes. Sue, I guess you haven't figured out by now, when you mention Cookie, you have to use the word legendary. Don't you understand? We did this last year, and, the people were finally catching on. And she mentioned about, being gracious to the referees. I'm sure, Larry, you can attest to that. There's never been anybody but gracious to referees, correct? Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, when you were speaking, you talked about the three greatest gentlemen in high school coaching that you can remember, and one of them is our next inductee, Joe Nucio. Joe. Joe was a member of the 1948 Enfield High School football team that was state champions and were inducted as a team into this Hall of Fame in the year 2000. He went on, after some military service, to coach at Berlin High School, where he had some successful Northwest Conference championship teams, and then became Fermi's very first football coach when the school opened in 70 or 71? Can't remember what it was, 70. And coached for more than 10 years there. He put up with, had some good teams then, and he was the man who was the head coach that had to deal with my brother Dave. So deserves a lot of credit just for that. Also coached softball before retiring 15 years ago. Being presented by one of his teammates from that 1948 team that was inducted in the year 2000, Tony Secondo. Please welcome our next inductee, Joe Nucio.
Joe, picture first. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Tony and Tim. I am very pleased and honored to be inducted into the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame. I would like to thank the Hall of Fame members and especially the induction committee for this wonderful opportunity. It is a pleasure and an honor to be recognized, and I truly appreciate it. I would also like to thank all of my assistant coaches, my peers, and my athletes. I have played on and have coached many outstanding teams, award-winning teams, some of which participated in championships. All of these people have helped my athletic and coaching career. As I said, I have had many terrific players and teams in my career, but the best team has been my family. I would like to thank my assistant coach and my wife, Beverly. For all her support and patience, and my two daughters, Jenny and Sophie. They are my favorite MVPs.
Thank you again for this honor of being in the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One more to go. Our final inductee for 2008, Jack O'Brien. A tremendous all-around athlete, playing up to 4 sports at Enfield High School during the 1940s, including playing on the 1943 Valley Wheel Championship basketball team. He also was a patriot, serving his country in the United States Navy, where of course he got to play ball in Philadelphia during that time, but again, serving our country, we salute him for doing that. Came back to town playing for Bigelow Sanford, as did many of the great athletes in this town, and made a number of all-star teams playing second base on the diamond. He also worked in the Park and Recs department and was just involved in helping to develop literally hundreds of the great athletes that this town has produced. Being presented by 1998 Hall of Famer Dick Vining, please welcome tonight's final inductee, Jack O'Brien.
I would first like to thank the committee for selecting me into the Enfield Hall of Fame and congratulate all those who were inducted tonight, and especially to Mike Cotnor for the amount of work he has done to make the Enfield Hall of Fame such a huge success. In an article years ago in Sports Illustrated, the author commented on a famous game between the Yankees and the Red Sox. He based the article on the statement, "If we could only hold the moment." The moment was when Yaz came to the plate with a chance to win the game. This was the moment. The point was, if one could only hold the moment when Yaz came to the plate and not what happened next. I have the same feeling when I stand up here. If I only could hold the moment. There have been many moments in my life when I would like to have held the moment. The time when the Murdochs won their first Daily News championship and we took a trip to New York to see the Yankees at the Yankee Stadium. I had my picture taken with Joe DiMaggio's arm around me, and it appeared in the Springfield Daily News. The time when, as a member of the club Silhouette, we won the KFC championship at Mackenzie Field in Holyoke, and then many members of the team, including me, left to play at Pinchin Park in Springfield with the Bigelow Sanford team and won the AAA championship. This was all in the same day. The time when I had come home from the service and the Brooklyn Dodger scout came to my house to talk to me about playing professional baseball. Although these great things have happened to me, this tonight has been the biggest thrill. being inducted into the Enfield Hall of Fame. I know that I'm being included with great athletes, many of whom I played with or against. It is certainly the greatest of honors. Memories and honors are great, but if I could only hold the moment like this, it would be better than any memory or honor that I could have. Hold the moment. Oh, how I wish I could. Thank you. By the way, for all you Yankees and Red Sox fans, Yaz popped out.
Except for that last part, well done, Mr. O'Brien, but we already knew that. And could you believe that that was 30 years ago already? 1978 that happened. Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the formal portion of our ceremony tonight. I'd like for us to please give one more hand to all of our honorees this evening. The Hall of Fame has a few activities during the year. As I mentioned, we do have our golf tournament in May that is open to everybody. The worse you are, the better off we want to have you. And a new event that'll be taking place will be on October the 9th, where we're going to feature right here at the Crown Plaza an evening with one of our Hall of Fame members. Used to live over on Armstrong Road in Enfield, a gentleman by the name of Bill Rasmussen, and while he lived here in town, he got fired by the Whalers, had nothing to do, so we started a 24-hour sports network called ESPN. That's right, and one of our Enfield residents did that. Bill Rasmussen will be coming here on October the 9th to spend an evening with the Enfield community. Information about that evening is available outside in the lobby. I want to thank all of you for coming out and giving me the opportunity to present such a wonderful class. The pleasure was truly all mine, and I thank you very, very much.
One more round of Tim Jensen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could just stay for one more minute, if you could. This entire event could not be possible with the assistance and hard work of my entire committee. So on behalf of my committee, I'd like those individuals to stand up and wave, those of them that are here. We'll start with Christine Kuchar. Believe it or not, many of you have been in contact with Christine organizing this entire banquet. It is a full-time job. It's a good thing she's retired because it is her full-time job. Also, Fran Slattery, Howie Brummage, Chris Corkum, Paul De Silva, Marion Dipple, Stan Danya, Sam Fiore, Nancy Giglione, Bob Keller, Eddie Lapinese, Scott Merritt, Sue Mercick Davis, Carl Newshafer, Tony Secondo, Jerry Wingen, Pat Crowley, Scott Copen, and Mary Keller from our town representation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending this wonderful event. We appreciate all your hard work each and every year, and we'll hope to see you next year.
dimming the lights. If we may direct your attention to my left, your right, or straight ahead, or however you're seated. For the next several minutes, we will have a media presentation, the Hall of Fame in Pictures. our Hall of Fame committee members, Mr. Carl Neushaver, puts that together every year. Unfortunately, he's not with us tonight, but since he will be watching this on television, how about a big hand for Carl for putting together that presentation?